A presidential visit to the front lines. Volodymyr Zelenskyy awarding medals to Ukrainian troops in Kupiansk.
Of course, emotionally they need some support. I think it's very important.
That support internationally is starting to wane after the Israel-Hamas conflict has taken up considerable Western attention. Zelenskyy conceding only the blind could not recognize the impact the Middle East conflict is having on Ukraine, but urging the world not to forget about the war in his country.
Thank you so much for making this.
A message backed up by the head of NATO.
The NATO doesn't have the luxury of only being able to address one challenge at the time. We need to be able to address different challenges.
NATO member Hungary challenging Ukraine's bid to join the European Union. Potential negotiations to join the bloc are not in Hungary's national interest, says Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who's considered one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's closest allies.
The leader of the Conservatives is cozying up to Russian dictator Vladimir Putin.
A similar claim leveled against Canadian Conservatives by the Liberals this week, after Tories voted against updating the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement because they say it would impose a carbon tax on Kyiv.
These issues about carbon pricing didn't really come up.
The Ukrainian-Canadian Congress pushing back, noting the agreement does not force a carbon tax, and even if it did, Ukraine has had one in place since 2011.
It's clear sort of what the text of the agreement says, and then what Ukraine itself is saying.
The UCC has now written directly to Pierre Poilievre, asking for the Conservatives to reconsider their opposition to the deal, Farah. But even if they don't, it's still likely to pass the House of Commons.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thank you, Mackenzie.